Next we've got Steve, which I think ties in a little bit with this from the sound of it. So, yeah.
A bit. In the last 140,000 years, there's been no change in our genetic makeup. During this time, the way we thought about ourselves has changed little until the beginning of the 18th century. It wasn't until almost the end of the 20th century that thinking was seriously explored. Since the 1950s, technology has revolutionized our thought processes. For example, engaging almost constantly with a piece of glass, some minerals, and quantum physics. This addition to our lives has changed our thinking forever. We have always been threat-minded creatures, but the threats have changed. No longer are we threatened physically. We are now threatened by intellectual challenges. Wanting to beat the shit out of your boss may be desirable, but not wise. We did not evolve to reason, discuss, consider choices. Never has this dichotomy been clearer than in the last 3 years of the Brexit fiasco. This hapless process has occurred because most politicians continue to see political processes in terms of ideological and tribal terms, come up against the other outside our group, and we are naturally suspicious. If we continue to think this way, in terms of seeing threat and dealing with it in a primitive way, we will be living in a dystopian Mad Max kind of world by the middle of this century. Problem-focused thinking has to be left behind. Solving problems is a short-term way of coping. Destroy or run away, whatever we do, threat-minded thinking creates cycles, and we are now running into the end of another cycle in human history. The political elite maintain their power and position by controlling and excluding, aimed at protecting themselves. The population becomes disempowered. The elite bring about by their own actions that which they most fear, downfall. How do we change this situation? It may be already too late. Much is happening to try to move away from turbo-capitalism. A previous speaker has alluded to a universal basic income. A great idea, but actually probably only a step on the way. We need a new kind of thinking that is based upon possibility, not threat, thinking that works through cooperation, thinking that enables creativity, thinking that sees solutions to be created, not problems to be removed. The change is subtle but profound and involves overturning millions of years of evolutionary success. It is a paradigm change away from the politics of greed and self-interest that we see at the moment. Marxism won't work either. It is about understanding that the long view is essential for all of us. Employees have to provide security for those that they employ. State governments must learn that welfare of the population is key. No longer can security be ignored, for with security comes sustainability, longevity, creativity and progress. Technology offers much, but it cannot provide the key to a fulfilling life, the opportunity to learn and to grow. So many children never get the chance to learn and grow, be creative, and enjoy a good life simply because of the greed and short-sightedness of the few. Community, security, and identity is essential to avoid that dystopian future. Organizations across the world are forming and developing new ways of working. It is not a single view that will make the change. Belief in a single, simplistic model like capitalism would not be enough.
Hello, everyone.
And it is close to delusion.
An amazing Women in Science exhibition in the Maudsley Room right now. So do make your way up to the first floor, back of the library, and check out the Women in Science exhibition.
Maybe they'll also be back 5 minutes after it's ended. So we just had a Women in Science exhibition.
I need to go back one. Thank you. That one. What is required is a multiplicity of models that all seek to move towards a sustainable ecology, a sustainable use of resources. Most human beings seek security, an opportunity to share their world and a story, often over a pint. The sad part is that the scum rises to the top. They are least suited to have power. For them it is a personal goal and not an altruistic one. Most politicians are folk psychologists that seek to use it to maintain their own personal power and influence. Our thinking has to develop, and fast, to develop a philosophy that embraces trust, difference, inclusion and opportunity, communication and community. Communities and nations have to learn to trust each other and a common vision. There is no organisation on the planet that has a clear global vision. The nearest is the United Nations, which is dialogue and strengthening of multilateralism as a catalyst for the well-being of all persons and a sustainable planet. And there are the 5 main goals. In that vision paper is the description of problems, but no vision of what a sustainable planet would look like. If we have no view of what we want, how on earth can we move towards it? Time to think about what we want, not what we don't want.
Very much.